Welcome back, gentlemen. This next video, we are getting after this Subaru STI, not the disease, the car. This guy just got this motor in. This is a built motor and brought it over for an intercooler piping. And I got to weld on an exhaust bung somewhere, I guess, but yeah, he got to mount the intercooler on the front, and we're doing piping up the side to the turbo outlet. I guess, yeah, through the intercooler, up this side, and all the way around the back and into the intake. I'm going to set you guys up again on the, where it takes a picture every second or two or whatever you set it up for, time lapse. Yeah, I'm going to set you guys up on a time lapse again. I'm going to try and get you guys like right over the top of this one, somewhere like maybe here-ish, just so you get a pretty good overall view of what is going on. That last one I did a shutter at every 2 seconds, which I started out with, what the hell was it, 10 seconds, and then I did 5, and then I did 2 on the last one. And even at 2 seconds seem a little bit fast, so I'm going to see if I can put it down to like a shutter every 1 second and see how that goes with this one. I can always speed it up or slow it down in the editing, but yeah, so, oh yeah, and I guess I gotta mention, somebody said I should mention to, don't forget to like and subscribe to the videos if you like this junk. I don't know, some people brought it up that I should mention it, because I guess people forget, and I know I forget stuff all the time, so there you go. Yeah, thank you much, and enjoy. I guess first thing on the list to take care of on this ETS, ATS, whatever that is, intercooler, is it's got a little scratch right here. You see that? Right in there. So we're going to have to buff that out. I don't know. It's small scratch. We'll take care of it. Figured I'd show you guys this thing. This I made, I don't know how many years ago. It's just a block of aluminum that I stuck a couple of shafts through. These are actually shift shafts from a transmission. The shafts that the forks go on to. This was a die off of that cheap Harbor Freight roll bender, cutter, whatever tool. This end is actually just that shaft, and I welded a bead on all the way around and stuck it in a lathe, rounded it off, and knurled it so it's got a little bit of grip on it. So yeah, you can see you turn this handle and it turns this lower die. And I have been using this, like I said, I whipped this up one day, I don't know how many years ago, well over 20 years ago, because I needed to be able to roll beads on pipes on these ends for silicone or couplers and stuff so they wouldn't pop off. And yeah, that Harbor Freight bead roller, it didn't work well. It was hard to reach the handle way off on the other end. That handle was 2 feet away, or trying to crank on that and hold this and hold it straight, and I was walking around all over. And it was just a pain in the ass. So I made this, and yeah, this hole for this shaft is slotted. So you can see you can lift this shaft up and down. You slip the pipe in here, butt it all the way up against the block. This screw pushes down on this shaft, on this upper die, and then you just crank this around. Keep pushing the pipe up against, oh, it's going to hit the vise here, the bench here, but I keep pushing the pipe up against the tool so it keeps a perfect distance for that bead. You can see that bead starting to form. Do a little bit more crank on there. And once you get to a point like that, that bead is already pretty good, but you can just keep cranking this around until you get a bead that you're happy with. Right there, just like that. You see that bead? All the way around, nice. Like I said, it's got that perfect distance all the way around the pipe from the edge. And you can make this bead as big as you want. You just keep cranking down on it and letting her eat. When I'm done with these pipes, I run a rag and a string, and I pull it through here to get these pipes all cleaned out anyhow. Because just from cutting and grinding and doing everything, making these pipes up, there's all kinds of junk that gets left in them. So, like I said, I got a wire that I feed through, and then it pulls a rag through, and I do it a couple of times. Clean out the insides of the pipes, and yeah. I have done all materials, and not just aluminum. I've done this in stainless, pretty heavy wall stainless pipe as well. And it does it. It holds up. Like I said, these shafts that I use are shift shafts. I believe they're out of a Honda transmission, but super hardened shafts. Really no deflection in them, and like I said, it's held up for well over 20 years. I don't know how many hundreds, probably thousands of rolls I've done with this thing. Let me show you guys a little bit more about this. I got a spring on this one. You can see, because, well, for that slot to work, it needs to be able to pull in a little bit on this back side. And then that helps, this die can float around then wherever it needs to be. The driven die is the important one. That is locked solid against this block and at that set distance. So yeah, this one is just free to float about. Yeah, I don't know. There's not much to explain or show. The handle, this is just I don't know. I welded this up. It's a sleeve and a threaded bolt. So I'm able to still take it apart if I need to, but I really never had to. I welded this shaft on here. This is just a solid shaft here with a tube on the outside. And I just put a couple of weld beads on there just to hold it on there. And here's one of those things where I was talking about ARP assembly lube. When I assembled this, like I said, 20 years ago, I put that ARP assembly lube in here. The moly lube that ARP calls for when you use their fasteners, head bolts and whatnot. I put that ARP moly lube in here back 20 years ago when I assembled this, and you can still see possibly the moly lube down inside of there. I don't know if you guys can see that. And it's still smooth and slick as the day I built it. I really like that stuff for situations like this. So, yeah, there's my bead roller. Alright guys, here we go. This intercooler piping job and mount is done. Well, you saw, you mounted the intercooler. One mount where the bumper support was on each end, and then the center mount where the hood support is. This, you saw me rebuild this end. This is that tube that was crushed and destroyed. So we welded a new tube onto the intercooler end cap and pipe and end tank. End tank and a new mount on the back that went to the bumper support. I started the turbo here. Well, I don't do this often, but every now and then I ask people if it's okay to put a tag on. If they say yes, I'll put my tag on the piping, exhaust, whatever I'm doing. Otherwise, I don't, because I know some people don't like junk all over all their parts. I know I'm the same way. A lot of times I like all my stuff clean and don't like tags and advertising and stuff on everything. It kind of, I don't know, it starts to look like a tournament bass fisherman shirt or whatever. So, yeah, off the turbo. This is a rubber boot he had on here, and it worked out well to get it up to 3-inch. He come through, he went through the inner fender here, down and around, behind and out from underneath the fender. This should all be buried underneath the bumper cover. The bumper cover should come way out here on the fender and over the top of the front. He is getting a new bumper cover, and he has to cut it out for fitting this intercooler. This is actually where he had it mounted originally before it got crushed. So he wanted it back in the same spot, so that's where it is. So yeah, down and in, 3-inch. It gets reduced because these pipes on these end tanks are 2 3/4, I think it was. So yeah, through the ETS intercooler, over to the driver's side, out around underneath the frame rail, and then up in between the radiator, battery box, and motor. There was enough room here to squeeze it through. It's got some room to move around and up. And I think you can see, I debated going underneath the intake here because there is room to go underneath the intake to go up to the back. You probably saw in the time lapse where I laid it out and I sat there and stared at it for a while, and it looked neat and it looked pretty clean. The only reason I didn't is because this is after the intercooler, and we want to keep this air as cool as possible. And if we stick it through in here, this is basically like a little oven in here, and it probably wouldn't heat the air a lot, but it will heat the air going through there if that piping was down and inside of the motor there. Like I said, it looked kind of cool, but it kind of defeats the purpose of the intercooler. So yeah, we went on the outside here. The blow-off valve, you can see like this, it fits in here nicely right in this little pocket. I did want to get it up here somewhere, but there just wasn't enough room where I was happy with it, and it looked nice and had enough clearance where it wasn't going to rub on something or hit something or whatnot. So yeah, it ended up here. This AMS intake, this kind of seems like a goofy spot to put the vacuum fitting for the brake booster. It's just off on the side here. They could have went anywhere that was better than just hanging out here off the side of this one runner. This is 1, 2, 3. This is the 4th runner. Yeah, they pulled it off of. It was going to hit this pipe originally. Like, it was in the way. So you saw me. I pulled that off. I actually cut it at an angle and then went up with it, so it comes straight up off of here instead of sticking out sideways here, and re-welded it. So then it clears this pipe right here. Yeah, it worked out pretty good. So yeah, up and around and into the throttle body in the back. Not much to talk about there, just in. Oh yes, I thought about going off this side with the blow-off valve as well, but it would cover the fuel pressure gauge. There was room here for it, but again, like I said, it would have covered that gauge, so we didn't do that. So yeah, there we are. Intercooler installed and plumbing ran. That'll wrap it up for this car. Actually, well, I've got to do an O2 bung down on the pipe, but there's nothing exciting about that. So yeah, there it is. Thanks everyone for watching. Oh, and yes, please like and subscribe. People mention that I should mention that in videos because people forget to do that, and I know I forget stuff a lot, so there you go. It helps. Yeah, have a great day.